If you have ever wondered, what the heck do I eat if I have acid reflux, GERD, or LPR, you are in the right place. My name is Molly. I'm a registered dietitian specializing in reflux because I myself went through GERD for over a decade, and it was one of the most challenging experiences of my life. And I started this YouTube channel to just show the journey along the way, how I overcame GERD, what I tried, what worked, what didn't, and how I eventually came off all of my acid suppression and healed my chronic GERD. So in today's video, I'm gonna be answering your question, what the heck do I eat? And I'm gonna be also answering a ton of other questions that you guys submitted on Instagram via a question box. So let's dive into it. Can reflux be a cause of low or no appetite? How to improve this? This question makes me think about stomach emptying. So reflux is not just about too much stomach acid, too little stomach acid. It's actually a lot to do with your stomach contractility and your motility of your entire digestive system. So no appetite or getting full really quickly when you have just a few bites of food, you definitely want to get a gastric emptying test from your GI doctor to assess for gastroparesis or slow stomach emptying. This doesn't necessarily mean you have gastroparesis just with low appetite. This could be so many other things as well. This could be slow motility. This could be anxiety related to having reflux symptoms. Could be a sign of just poor digestive function. So you definitely want to, number one, focus on your nervous system. And I have a ton of videos on that, specifically this video. This video goes through something that a lot of people miss in terms of reflux relief, which is supporting your vagus nerve, which can really have a big impact on your motility. So I would start there. Can I eat spicy food? I love a Godzilla roll, which I don't know what that is. I'll have to look that one up. Do I eat spicy food now? To be honest, not really that often. I can if I want to. I can have a few bites of like an enchilada, or I'm not a huge spicy food person in general. I don't choose to add hot sauce to my foods anymore. This was something that I used to do, but I don't choose to do that anymore just because I'd rather prioritize some of the other reflux triggers like chocolate and a little bit of Prosecco and things like that. And so when I want to pick and choose when I'm eating in terms of reflux triggers, I can't go overboard with all the reflux triggers. So I can have it in moderation, but I just don't necessarily choose that reflux trigger when I want to indulge. Even if I'm feeling good, after wearing tight clothes, I get nauseous. Tight clothes actually can put a lot of pressure on the lower esophageal sphincter and the stomach. So this compression is really not good for your digestive system, especially if you struggle with reflux, especially if you have a hernia. You might wear some looser fitting things here, maybe just looser pants, comfortable clothing, so that you're not putting too much pressure there. How do you know if it's a sore throat or LPR pain? LPR pain can feel like a sore throat. You want to see a laryngologist, an ear, nose, and throat doctor that specializes in the larynx to take a look and see for signs of reflux. Because LPR, the symptoms are so similar to allergies, to other things. You definitely want to get checked out. But one thing that I would say is with LPR, sometimes these symptoms will worsen after certain foods. Typically with a sore throat or a cold or allergies, you're not going to see a correlation with food. Probiotic I use/recommend. I personally take Femdopolis by Jarrow formulas, but my favorite ones for general reflux, gut health are on my recommended products page. I will link my recommended products page down below. Reflux in kids. I'm feeling lost and my 10-year-old is suffering. I'm really sorry to hear that. Reflux in children can be challenging. You, number one, want to rule out food allergies. Get food allergy testing. Do not get food intolerance testing. Food intolerance testing is the biggest waste of money ever. It is not evidence-based. Avoid anything that says food sensitivity testing like the plague. You want to work with a good pediatric GI. Definitely ask your insurance or your PCP for a good pediatric GI, good pediatric dietitian. A lot of times, reflux in children can be due to constipation too. So look into constipation. What foods are least likely to cause fermentation? So protein foods like chicken, eggs, salmon are going to be less likely than certain things like cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts. Those are going to be more gas producing. And then there's also certain vegetables that are lower in FODMAPs or lower in fermentable carbohydrates that are going to cause less fermentation. So low FODMAP vegetables like green beans, carrots, spinach, bok choy, zucchini, all of these things are going to be lower fermentation. I do have a low FODMAP grocery list as well, and I'll make sure to link that for you down below. And then certain nuts and seeds are going to be better as well. So like pumpkin seeds, pecans, macadamia nuts, peanuts are lower fermentation than like pistachios and cashews. Sweet potatoes and rice are generally pretty low FODMAP, low fermentation. Wheat products do contain fructan often, which can be a higher fermentation compound. So you may want to do more gluten-free type starches like potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, brown rice, quinoa. Those might feel better for you. Why did the elemental diet make my LPR symptoms 10 times worse? Well, I'm not a fan of elemental diet. I don't think it addresses the root cause. If it does help you, it may point more towards a dysbiosis issue that we need to address with your gut health, but likely you could have been refluxing a lot of this liquid. It's almost like a liquid fast. So fasting in general can irritate reflux. Also, certain ingredients in the elemental shake may not have agreed with you. It could have had citric acid in it or certain things that just didn't agree with you. So I don't recommend that. Oh my gosh, I am sweating. I have no air conditioning yet and it is so hot up here where I'm filming. Woo! I'm also thinking about turning on the oven and making a dinner recipe for you guys. So that is how much I love you, is that I'm willing to turn on the oven to film that in this heat with no air conditioning. Here's the thing, everyone knows they should be eating more vegetables and that alkaline vegetables are good if you have acid reflux, like asparagus, zucchini, bok choy, kale, lettuce, arugula, carrots, green beans. All of these are amazing. They help to give your body phytonutrients, fiber, all the things your body needs to heal and optimize gut health. But the question is how? How do you make this easy in your everyday life? How do you also make it delicious so you actually want to eat the vegetables? Number one is make it easy. Make it easy for yourself. So make sure that you get the vegetables in your home. Make this a ritual on a Sunday or a Saturday. Go grocery shopping, make a list, use the free Reflux-Friendly grocery list in the description of this video. Get them in the home and then prep them so they're ready. Wash them, chop them, whatever you gotta do so they're ready to eat. Even just throwing a sheet pan of vegetables in the oven in between meetings or while you're doing something else, listening to a podcast or whatever, or listening to the Reflux Revolution podcast. It's linked down below. Make sure you check that out. And then it will be ready for you during your week that you can just throw into bowls, into sandwiches, whatever, do an omelet. The other important thing is making it delicious. There are so many delicious reflux-friendly seasonings that can help make your foods more enjoyable for you. So I'm gonna be using sumac, sea salt, maybe a little bit of nutritional yeast. I also really like these. If you are in the United States, you can check out the gourmand seasonings. These are down below in the description. These are reflux friendly. Even like rosemary, basil, thyme, those are all awesome, awesome things. When tapering PPI, how can I tell if it's acid rebound versus baseline untreated symptoms? So acid rebound is when you have more production of stomach acid when you're weaning off the PPI, which is really common and normal, especially if you've been on it for a long time. I recommend doing this really, really gradually. I actually have a whole video on how I weaned off my PPI right here, so definitely check that out. Acid rebound is going to be temporary. Your body is going to adjust this new level of acid in the stomach. You really want to support yourself with alginates during this time. Alginates are algae therapy like Gaviscon Advanced or Reflux Raft. You might want to use some slippery elm. Really excited because we have a new slippery elm supplement that is launching soon. So excited, stay tuned for that. It is literally the supplement that I wish I had when I was weaning off my PPI, and it could really help you wean off your PPI. But anyways, it's going to pass. Your body's going to kind of find that baseline equilibrium. If your symptoms do not subside in 1 to 2 weeks, or you're having really new symptoms like really burning, sharp pain, that would be a sign we'd want to be looked at. We'd want to go back to the doctor, make sure that we're not missing something. Okay, can you discuss dealing with the lump in the throat sensation? So this lump in the throat sensation, especially if it's like your only symptom or your main symptom, this makes me think of a type of reflux called LPR. LPR is laryngopharyngeal reflux, and that is driven by an enzyme called pepsin. So when reflux-8, whatever you're refluxing, reflux-8 moves into the esophagus, pepsin almost like burrows into the tissues, and it can stay there and it can linger. So it can burrow into the throat tissues. If your reflux is proximal, meaning reflux moved into the throat, then pepsin can go into the throat tissues, and you can kind of like feel this all of the time, even when you're not refluxing. That pepsin is inflammatory, so we need to deactivate the pepsin. This involves a healing phase where we are eliminating acidic foods for a period of time. We also need to, during this healing phase, address the root causes of your reflux. For a lot of people with LPR, there are digestive root causes, there are motility root causes, and then nervous system or vagus nerve root causes. So we really want to be looking at how do we address all of these. Start with the vagus nerve, walking post-meal for your motility, smaller frequent meals, reducing acidic foods for sure is going to be part of the treatment plan. Can you discuss the causes of belching that feels like it's coming from the throat? So belching is really fascinating. It can be a symptom of H. pylori. You do want to make sure that you're getting tested for H. pylori, but we've seen belching when it's persisted as sort of like the last reflux symptom. You've done the work, you've eliminated the foods, we've healed those tissues, reduced inflammation with alginates and healing herbs.
we actually see this being an anxiety symptom a lot. So I'm not sure if that is the case for you, but belching can be an anxiety symptom. So make sure that you're addressing daily stressors, incorporating daily habits to manage stress. This is so important, and that's exactly what we talk about in the Flora app. That's what the Flora app helps you do. There is a 7-day risk-free trial down below if you just want to try it out for free. So try it out, see how it impacts your symptoms. The daily reflux hypnotherapy, the daily meditations. We want to be thinking about SIBO here as well, so small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. This could point us in the direction of this being a little bit of a dysbiosis or an imbalance of your microbiome bacteria, so we'd want to look at that. It kind of just depends what other symptoms you have going on in addition to the belching. When it feels like it's coming from the throat, it's not coming from the throat. It's most likely coming from lower down in the digestive tract. But if you're hearing kind of clicking noises in the throat, any sort of noises like froggy noises in the throat, sometimes this can be due to prolonged reflux. You know, definitely see a doctor if you're dealing with intense symptoms, but that is something we see with prolonged reflux. What fruits and vegetables can we eat for GERD? Well, there are so many, and I'm gonna jump to my second recipe now, which is our banana overnight oats. Talk a little bit more about that.
I'm basically winging this recipe. I need to use up these bananas, so I'm making some banana bread protein bites. We do have a bunch of banana bread recipes on the Flora app, like banana bread donuts and bars and yummy things like that, but I don't have all the ingredients. We just moved into our new house. As you can see, I'm in a different layout right now, and I don't have the right ingredients, so I'm kind of gonna wing it and just get the right consistency. You want this like nice thick consistency that doesn't stick to your hands but sticks to itself. So you need to have oats, a little bit of nut butter. I actually don't have nut butter, but I have powdered peanut butter, so I'm gonna use that. It does get a little bit sticky. And then you're gonna want a little bit of honey or maple syrup to also stick it together. I'm gonna add protein powder as well, some salt, and a little bit of maple syrup, and just hope it comes together. A lot of people think that your food has to be super tasteless and boring if you are trying to heal from reflux, GERD, or LPR. But there are so many delicious alkaline foods. When you go into the grocery store, into the produce aisle, sometimes all we can see is like the things that maybe don't work for your body right now. We can see the tomatoes, we can see the peppers, the onions, but there's so many different types of fruits and vegetables there that really can help. And if you're struggling, I have a free reflux grocery guide in the description of this video, so definitely grab the reflux grocery guide. All right, so I'm mashing all the bananas up. Needs a little bit of moisture. Tastes good already. Salt is the key ingredient, and if you're a heavy sweater, if you're an athlete, you may actually need a little bit more salt, especially if you eat mostly whole foods. Okay, well, this is a little too moist, so I'm gonna add some more oats and some more protein powder to make it a little bit stickier and drier. By the way, I do think I have a discount code for this naked peanut butter powder that I'm obsessed with. I use it every single morning. I will put it in the description of this video, but now what I'm gonna do is spray my hands with a little bit of avocado oil and make little protein bites. This helps the ball mixture not stick to your hands. Alright friends, now I am making a variation of the cheese seed pudding on the Flora app. I'm actually going to add oats and banana because I need to use up these bananas. So this is more of like an overnight oats chia seed pudding, and I think it'll be super simple. In terms of reflux, one of the most important things is planning. Promise me this week you will just try to plan one of your meals, one of your snacks. Having a plan for your nutrition makes everything so much easier, so you're not getting to that meal and feeling like overwhelming decision fatigue because every meal you don't know when to eat. I really recommend, finding a breakfast recipe, finding a dinner recipe, knowing at least one thing you're gonna make for the week, and then make double or triple. Always cook once, eat twice, so that you have another meal for another eating opportunity later in the week. It's gonna set you up for success, help you feel more confident with your nutrition.
Next question, why does burning stay for hours after getting sour burps, mouth, throat, and esophagus? This could mean some of these burps are acidic. You could be getting acidic vapor, acidic spray that's sort of irritating the throat and the esophagus, the mouth. So here would be quelling the inflammation using alginates, using some anti-inflammatory herbs like slippery elm. But again, here really want to look for H. pylori, look for gut imbalance. We want to make sure that your meals are small and frequent so that we're not putting too much pressure on that lower esophageal sphincter, and assessing for constipation here too. If you're super constipated or there's an imbalance somewhere in the digestive tract, that's going to put a lot of pressure on your stomach and cause some of these issues. So that's what I would look for first and foremost. Confirmed ulcers. Doctor says stay on Pepcid to help tissues. Thoughts on ulcers. Typically with ulcers, we are going to need some sort of medical intervention. Usually we are going to be using a Pepcid or a PPI, so I would definitely be in alignment with what your doctor recommended here in terms of your medication. You know, I don't know you, I can't give medical advice on YouTube, but usually within an ulcer scenario, we're going to be using these types of things so that the tissue can heal. We may also be using deglycyrrhizated licorice root, zinc carnosine to help heal those tissues further. And then if it's a goal of yours to wean off of Pepcid, then we would want to get that okay from your doctor, but we could slowly and gradually do that once we've confirmed that the ulcers have healed. We see a lot of people with ulcers, gastritis, ulcers in the esophagus, and it is really important that these heal before we try to come off of acid suppression. GLP-1s and reflux, this is such a good question. So I think that GLP-1s can be super helpful for certain people. For those that have a lot of difficulty with binge eating, overeating, emotional eating, lots of food noise, and they find themselves overeating a lot, this can really help because it can kind of quiet the food noise and help to rebuild new habits. Now, I really recommend working with a dietitian if you're taking a GLP-1, but I know that's not possible for every single person. But if you are taking a GLP-1, you just want to make sure that you are building good habits at the same time as using this medication. So building in good, small, frequent meals, adequate protein, you know, hydration outside of your meals, good movement patterns to manage stress like daily walking or yoga. There are a certain subset of people though that GLP-1s can trigger a whole lot of reflux. So depends on the medication. Like I have had clients have better success with Zepbound versus Wegovy or some of the other stronger ones, but it's one of those conversations you want to have with your doctor. If you're more reflux prone, you may want to just let them know that because it can cause a lot of reflux. One of the modes of action of GLP-1s is to slow your stomach emptying. So we want to make sure that you're supported, we're not ignoring reflux. If you're getting it, we're really addressing it there and choosing the right medication for you. Next question, whole foods, chemical-free diet, and I've gained a lot of weight. How to combat this? This is fascinating. Most people, when they switch to a whole food diet, they might lose weight because they've removed processed foods. I think this is one of the reasons people feel better on the carnivore diet because they are removing processed foods. I know we're not talking about the carnivore diet here, but what I'm wondering with the whole foods diet is if maybe you added a lot more fat than normal. Like maybe you added more avocado, nuts and seeds because you can't have other snacks. Maybe we're adding in more fats as snacks, like lots of nut butters and things like that. So I would really watch that when it comes to reflux. We don't want to get too much fat at one time. That can be a reflux trigger. So if your diet is mostly fruits and vegetables, then I don't think the diet could have caused a weight gain. We definitely would want to be looking at your thyroid as well here if you're having unplanned weight gain. In terms of weight loss, this will be different person to person, but we'd be thinking about making your plate mostly fruits and vegetables, adding in more movement, watching those sneaky fats like oils and avocados and nuts and seeds that can really kind of pile up. Next question, can H. pylori be causing my reflux as it caused my gastritis, duodenitis, and esophagitis? So yes, H. pylori can be sneaky. Typically we're managing this with your doctor as well, but from a nutrition perspective, we'd want to be thinking about uplifting your healthy bacteria, because the issue with H. pylori is sometimes people will take antibiotics and then they have no plan after that. And the H. pylori can just come back. So we need to lift up your healthy bacteria with enough fiber, enough fruits and vegetables, enough diversity so that we can keep H. pylori down. We might use certain probiotic strains as well. We may use mastic gum to help reduce H. pylori too after you take antibiotics. Can I join the gym if I have mild reflux and mild gastritis? Absolutely yes. We may need to, just start slow. Like I wouldn't go in and power lift your 1 rep max for every single movement, but going to the gym could be really, really helpful for so many reasons, for motility, for stress management. Exercise has also been proven to help optimize your gut microbiome health. So yeah, I think I would start with light weights, high repetition. I would start just, going slow with cardio and working your way back up. But I definitely think that exercise is a really important part of the puzzle. How can we know when we can start to eat normal food intake after a fully bland diet? So I don't know you or your situation. This sounds like a really personal question because I also don't know your medical history. So this is kind of what our one-on-one sessions are. But what I would say is we really want to think about what is normal food. Like that means something different to every single person. Normal food could could mean something completely different to the next person. But you want to start small. You want to wait till your symptoms are stable, manageable. When you have reflux, you kind of know why. And then your symptoms should be, maybe a 1 to a 2 on a symptom severity scale, of 10 being the worst. And then start really small. Start with the foods that you're most comfortable with or least nervous about, and just, maybe 1 bite. See how you do, and maybe the next time you increase a little bit more. That way you kind of find your threshold amount of that food. Like with chocolate, maybe a protein bar with a couple chocolate chips is totally fine. Maybe 1 chocolate chip cookie is fine, but a massive chocolate slice of cake or half of a chocolate bar is not fine. So we're trying to find like our threshold amounts with these types of foods. So go slow, start small, increase as tolerated. If we are starving before bedtime, can we eat something or not? I don't recommend going to bed starving, because sometimes what can happen is you wake up in the middle of the night and eat your entire kitchen. I know that I have been there. So you should have a snack, something light, low in fat, like rice cakes, a couple crackers, piece of toast, some cottage cheese, whatever. But if you're getting hungry before bedtime, you are not eating enough throughout the day. This can be prevented with good nutrition throughout the day. So you want to think about getting a good breakfast, starting early, then having a mid-morning snack, having a good lunch, afternoon snack, and dinner, so that you're getting enough nutrition. Each meal should have a protein, a carbohydrates, a little bit of healthy fat, some fruits or vegetables for fiber, and that should prevent that bedtime hunger. Eating onions seems to be impacting me now. Mainly my throat is this common. Yes, so onions do contain a compound that can be irritating from a reflux perspective. Your symptoms of reflux may be more so felt in the throat. We can also have referred reflux pain from lower down in the esophagus that shows up in the throat. So this could be referred pain. It sounds like onions is a trigger, and that is okay. It doesn't mean it's gonna be a trigger forever. It just might mean that right now your body needs that food in a small portion, or needs to limit that food as much as possible. So onions and garlic can be triggers because they contain compounds that can contribute to reflux. Why are omega-3s helpful for reflux healing? So much of healing reflux is actually healing the inflammation from reflux. So esophagitis or gastritis, these things are inflammatory conditions. So a lot of what we do is helping to heal inflammation, prevent the reflux, because even after the reflux stops, you could still have pain if there's a lot of inflammation there. So omega-3s found in salmon, fish, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, certain algae, this can really help reduce inflammation. This is proven in science to do this, and it also helps to support nervous system health. And nervous system health is another big component of reflux healing, so omega-3s play a massive role. Is it possible to gain weight with LPR or GERD? Yes. We may be increasing your meal frequency. If we can't increase your volume of food at one time because of the reflux, we may be increasing how frequently you're eating. And we're probably thinking about, spreading those healthy fats throughout the day, adding in snacks, increasing protein, maybe reducing vegetable portion size so that we can add more calories, because those vegetables are just so low in calories, and we may need to add some carbs, proteins, healthy fats, and just kind of go slow when increasing portion size so we don't trigger reflux. But we help our clients with this all the time. Why would PPIs not be working for reflux? Well, I have an entire video on this just for you, why your medication is not working. So definitely check out this video. Definitely check out all of the videos on my acid reflux playlist, because they are designed to help you understand root causes of reflux, what triggers reflux, and that's really important because PPIs don't stop reflux. They do nothing to stop reflux. They just reduce the acidity of that reflux. So nutrition and lifestyle is the mainstay of reflux treatment. Definitely watch my whole reflux relief playlist, and specifically that PPI video. I rarely get hungry, but even when I do, I get full and nauseous within a few bites. This is very similar to a question we had earlier in the video, and it can indicate slow stomach emptying. But this can be a symptom of so many other things as well. This could be related to constipation, poor bowel emptying, could be related to anxiety, could be related to poor digestive function, low digestive enzymes, potentially low stomach acid as well. So we want to be kind of assessing for those things. Do you know much about reflux hypersensitivity and what can cause it? I have a podcast episode coming out soon. It's probably going to be out by the time this video comes out, about reflux root causes. This is with Dr. Zachary Spiridos, and we talk about reflux hypersensitivity hypersensitivity here. Yes, a lot of our clients have reflux hypersensitivity, and this can be diagnosed with a pH impedance test. The way that we know this from that test is that if you are having all of these reflux symptoms, but no reflux actually shows up, that can mean that your esophagus is hypersensitive to any kind of movement, and you might be having reflux symptoms even without reflux. This can happen when you have a history of reflux as well, like those tissues are just extra sensitive because you've experienced pain there. This happens in lots of different pain conditions. So another reason this reflux hypersensitivity can happen is because of the gut-brain axis, so the enteric nervous system. Literally what's happening in your brain can impact the nerves of your esophagus and the nerves of your digestive system. That is what IBS is. IBS is a gut-brain condition. Reflux hypersensitivity is a brain and esophageal nerve condition. So we're thinking a lot about the vagus nerve, a lot about nervous system, addressing stress, addressing trauma. How to know if I've got high or low stomach acid. There is not a great gold standard test for high or low stomach acid. If someone tells you that there's a great test, they are lying to you. There's the baking soda test, but this test is not perfect, and there's no research that says low stomach acid causes reflux. I'm not saying that it's not a root cause, it can be, but there's no hard research. So we don't have the clinical data, we don't have a clinically validated test to test for this. I think that it's possible low stomach acid can be a root cause, but the intervention for that sometimes isn't appropriate for every single person. So if you are being recommended to take betaine HCl or apple cider vinegar, you really need to make sure you're doing this under the guidance of a skilled professional, because you can worsen your reflux symptoms with these supplements. And I think people really hyper focus on high or low stomach acid when that's not really the most important thing. The most important thing is optimizing your digestive process and balancing out your nervous system so that these digestive juices are produced at the right times. Can you heal gastritis alongside GERD or LPR? Yes, most of our clients have both gastritis and a reflux condition, so absolutely. A lot of the triggers are the same, like tomatoes, spicy foods, alcohol, caffeine, mint, acidic foods. These are really similar, the triggers for gastritis and the triggers for reflux. So when we're going through a healing phase, we can remove these triggers, allow this tissue to subside, allow the inflammation in the tissues to subside, and then we're also thinking about, again, soothing with omega-3s, mucilaginous herbs, addressing root cause, not going too long without eating so that we're not irritating the gastric lining, lots of things like that, and then really beginning that digestive process in the mouth. So with gastritis, we really want to break down your food in your mouth before you swallow. So chew, 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 super important. My symptoms worsen before or after menstruation. Is there a link between these? Yes, so before menstruation, we have a fluctuation in your hormones, which can trigger a temporary loosening of the lower esophageal sphincter muscle and allow backflow of stomach contents into the esophagus. We also see that during this time before the period, there might be more cravings, eating a little bit more use of NSAIDs or Advil that can impact and irritate the gastric lining. So there's a lot of reasons for this, and also an increase in anxiety the week before a period, which might contribute to more reflux. But these hormonal shifts can be a trigger. All right, my friends, I hope you found this video useful. Let me know if you want to see more Q&As, more of what I'm meal prepping. And if you have not yet checked out my recent video on how long it takes to heal reflux, this is another big question I get asked all the time. So you definitely want to check this out and to understand kind of a timeline of what your healing journey might look like, some factors that might be contributing to your GERD, reflux, or LPR healing. Be sure to subscribe down below, hit the notification bell so you get updates for my upcoming videos all about reflux, GERD, gut health, and healing your reflux so you can live your best life. See you in the next video.